Hello, everybody. I'm Sam MacDonnell, CTO of HotelTonight. It's good to see all of you. I'm a San Francisco native, and so I feel like I say this a lot, but the weather was a lot better yesterday. Always miss it by this much here. I'm very excited to talk to you about machine learning and our latest accomplishment at HotelTonight. But just a quick background on myself. I've been in technology for over 20 years. Doesn't look like it, but it's true. My background is really in mobile services and computer graphics. That's been the kind of focus of my career. And lately I've been at HotelTonight for the past 3 years, and I think we've been building something really special that I'm very happy to tell you about, and I think you'll see just some of the innovation that's coming from our team. HotelTonight sells, I've heard there was no sales pitches, but I got to do a little sales pitch, just so you know what HotelTonight is. We're a mobile-only company, and so we only have mobile apps. You can find hotels within 7 days of your trip, up to 70% off, and you can only find those on mobile web, iOS, and Android. So the reason why we're mobile-only is because we can get these amazing prices from hotels, and we've convinced hotels and our partners that as a last-minute channel, and on mobile only, they can discount on HotelTonight like they can discount nowhere else. And we started off just selling rooms at noon, same day, and now we've expanded out to a week. And hotels have come with us, all along on the ride, and they discount heavily, and you can find great prices. So if you are planning on extending your trip and staying through the weekend, which I think it will be sunny this weekend, I suggest you download HotelTonight and book a room. All right. How many people have HotelTonight installed? All right. Okay, I'm going to ask that question at the end, and it should be a much higher number. Okay. We're getting bigger as a company. Some people would say we're the third largest OTA in the world, but the first two are a lot bigger than us. I think you hear about Expedia or you hear about Priceline Group. Those are big companies, huge technology companies. Some of the biggest in the world. Our team is not as big as their teams, but I think we punch above our weight, significantly so. And I think the fact that we're aggressively mobile only gives us an advantage. And then the other advantage is that we pursue new technologies very quickly, and it enables us to solve meaningful problems in very interesting ways. So we're going to talk about the hotel problem and the last-minute hotel problem specifically. So hotels have 60% of their hotels available most of the time. Sorry, 60% of the rooms. And they sell these, the revenue manager is trying to sell these rooms across different channels, across Expedia, Priceline. I mean, there's so many OTAs out there. They're really trying to manage all their inventory and maximize their revenue. And for HotelTonight, we want to make sure that the revenue manager, who is our key customer for this problem, has the confidence that they can sell through one channel and get the perfect sellout. And so if I'm a revenue manager and I'm trying to maximize my revenue for a hotel, I'm basically going, I have 30 rooms left over. I'm going to put 10 here on Expedia. Maybe they'll sell them last minute. I don't know, their app is not very good. It's not as good as HotelTonight's. But, but HotelTonight, like I'm going to put 10 there. They're getting bigger. I think I'll sell 10 there. And then maybe I'll set 10 aside for myself. And then what happens is they start selling rooms like crazy on HotelTonight because we specialize in last-minute inventory, and they compete in the marketplace. And when they get a really high ranking in our app, they'll get bookings, and they'll get a lot of bookings. And then they have to deal with another problem, which is sell-through. Like they might sell through too fast or too quickly. They have to manage their inventory, they oversell their rooms, and then customers start coming through their door and they can't give them a room. Then they have angry customers. So this last-minute inventory thing is a little bit different. It's just hotels have to change logistics because it's last-minute inventory and people aren't booking weeks in advance and they can't be all ready for it. They get a flood of customers. And so for HotelTonight, we want to be the best at solving this problem. This is our wheelhouse. This is where we want to be the best. Well, I'd say we're the best at getting last minute inventory or last minute guests through the door. But what we've been showing hotel partners and the tools that we've been giving them have been not as good as they can be. And so this is a picture of a tool that's on our website where hotels go and they manage inventory and they load inventory. We call this the ranking sheet. No, it's the leaderboard. And so the leaderboard is where hotels can figure out where they are relative to other hotels. And our algorithm is very complex. It looks like the hotel quality, how much users like it, their previous performance. A multitude of variables go into this ranking algorithm. And what they see is like, okay, I'm number 2. I think I get it, but I'm number 2. Still doesn't solve their problem. How many rooms can I put on HotelTonight? How many will I sell? They still have to juggle their rooms across all these different channels because all they know is that they're number 2. They don't know if they're going to sell 10 rooms at number 2 or 10 rooms at number 10. It's a big problem for them. And so what we'd like to do is be able to tell hotels exactly how many rooms they're going to sell. So it'd be like predicting the future. How can you do that? I don't know. We heard machine learning can do some of that. But if any of you have tried to launch an initiative at any company and said, you know what, we're going to predict the future with computers and tell our customers exactly what the future is going to be like for them. First off, they'd probably laugh you out of the room. Second off, they go like, wow, that's a really awesome, or if you can pull it off, like, I'll make you CEO. I'm just kidding. If that gets out to Sam, the other Sam, he'll be pissed. Okay, but we at HotelTonight believe in machine learning. And the reason why we do is because 2 years ago, we had a big problem with fraud. And since we're a last-minute on-demand marketplace, we have to figure out how to approve or review our transactions very quickly. And so we employed machine learning over 2 years ago to fight fraud, and it took us a very long time. Basically, it took us longer to take the leap of faith, to turn it on and trust it, than it took us to actually implement it across our entire transaction pipeline, and then flip the switch. And so it was one of these things where it was, we have to do this. We have to solve this problem. And machine learning was one of these silver bullets that no one believes there's a silver bullet. But we ended up implementing it in our transaction pipeline, flipping the switch, and within 30 days, we drastically reduced our fraud. So much so that it got us out of a lot of trouble with our credit card companies that were helping approve our transactions, and it saved us a ton of money. And the false positive rate was acceptable and was relatively low. We still had a manual review process, but it saved us. And so at that point, we were looking at machine learning, and we weren't in a place where we can employ machine learning readily across our problem space. In fact, we had to do about 2 years worth of infrastructure and investments in streaming data and in machine learning platforms to be able to start employing this technology for other problems. And so since that time, we've been employing it for problems like user-generated content, where we're reviewing text reviews of hotels and making sure that those are valuable. And so we want to save money and not have to do a bunch of manual reviews. And so we've employed machine learning for that. We've employed machine learning to categorize people's preferences in real time. And what I'm going to talk to you about now is our latest use of machine learning, which is super cool. The perfect solution. All right, hotels. We're not going to tell you what rank you are, because that doesn't help you. We're just going to tell you how many rooms you're going to sell tomorrow and today. That's our goal. So when we went to our revenue manager, remember that's our customer in this problem, and we asked them, hey, is this a valuable problem to solve? They said yes. And we said, well, what if we solve it like this? And we showed a little mock-up on paper of what it would look like. And it just said, you will sell all of your rooms at this price. And they're like, okay, wait, so you're building a crystal ball. And we said, yeah, kind of. It's like a crystal ball, but it's really going to work. It's not magic. I think we can pull this off. And so the team, obviously we validated it, and hotels were like, okay, well, if you, they didn't, I don't know if they really believed us, but they said, well, if you can tell us how many rooms we're going to sell, that is exactly what we need to know. And so the team leveraged our infrastructure, and then they attacked the problem in 2 different steps. So the first step was basically to predict market bookings. So markets like San Francisco or New York, Miami, and then, you know, obviously at the hotel level would be how many bookings are happening within hotel or at hotels within a market like San Francisco. And so the first problem, and the reason they broke it down like this is just because it seems a lot easier to predict market level bookings, since there's a lot more data, more volume at the market level, should be easier. And what the team found is that, well, it's not that easy. And so what they found is every market performs drastically differently. And then what they found after trying to basically deploy models for every single market, they realized that every day of week within every market performs drastically differently. So the team ended up deploying models for every day of week across every market. It started working pretty well, right? Around 90% accuracy, pretty awesome. But then they came to the real problem, once this was built, is that managing all those models became a nightmare. And so the team had to build out a monitoring system and an infrastructure for basically monitoring every single model for market level predictions. And then also alerting, and basically when a model per day a week in a market is underperforming, the team gets alerted, they have to go in, they figure it out, they do the research, they tweak it, they retrain it, they redeploy it, and they get better results. And so this was one of the key findings of just this particular problem, is that it takes a pretty big system to monitor it and keep it going. And but they have been able to keep above 90% accuracy consistently with this monitoring. So now hotel level predictions. Well, this one wasn't any easier. And so at the hotel level, it's much harder. There's just not as much data. Some hotels don't have as much performance as others, and so those are particularly hard to predict. But the team went at it with a few, just because they're experienced at this, and they know that they need to try different models and different strategies. They had 2 different techniques. One was just basically we're going to look at a statistical model, and we're going to apply bookings across hotels for this market. And that worked pretty well for markets that were not very dynamic or had less kind of action in the market during the day. And it was fairly accurate. The problem is the markets that are our biggest revenue, our largest revenue generators, are the markets that are highly active with lots of competition, and the statistical model did not work very well for those types of markets. And so they had built their own service with their own machine learning algorithm, and they employed that using 20 different attributes for every hotel. And that model does actually work better in markets that are highly dynamic. But it actually performs worse in the more static markets. So the good news is that they're able to combine both, and with our system where we can have all these models running at once, they're able to get the best of both worlds and have much more consistent performance. And so if we're to look at this graph, which I know is incredibly easy for you to see and read, maybe I'll give you a little hint here, but so what we're looking at is 6 p.m. prior, sorry, yeah, Jonathan. I don't know what that says. 6 p.m. prior all the way to midnight the same day. And so the green zone is the nailed it zone. So looking back at all of our predictions along that timeline, and then looking back at how many that hotel actually sold, nailed it means we got the prediction exactly right. Off by one, we're off by 1 room, and off by 2, we're off by 2 rooms. What we feel, just by talking to our customers, is acceptable to hotels is really like our off by 2 results. 2 rooms is not a big deal, they can live with that. And so at noon same day, we're at 93% accuracy across our hotels. And so that's pretty good. And so how does this manifest itself in our product? So you've seen our rank here, and I know this is incredibly hard to read, but what we have above it is a little module that's very easy for the hotels to understand. And it's basically what we call the HTX Forecast. HTX is our HotelTonight extranet. It's where hotels manage their inventory. And they have a forecast up above it. And so based on their rank and the models that we have running in the background and our predictions, we can tell them if they're on track or off track to sell all their rooms for that day. And so in this case, it says you have 24 rooms loaded, and you're on track to sell 100% of those rooms. And in this case, we actually are predicting that they could sell more. And so there's a specific call to action where it says, you could sell 3 more rooms. And there's a button that says, load 3 more rooms. In the other case, it's, okay, you have 10 rooms loaded, and you're on track to sell 8. And so the other call to action that we'll have in that case is basically set your price at this price, and you'll sell 10 rooms. Seems pretty basic, seems pretty easy, but this allows hotels now to understand exactly where they sit in HotelTonight with their last-minute inventory, and hopefully bet the bank on HotelTonight, understand that they're going to sell out all these rooms. They don't have to deal with the other channels, and they could just go with their favorite channel, HotelTonight. So that's it. Thank you. Any questions? Oh, are we good? Oh.
Hello. We've actually got time for a couple of questions. I have... Hello? Okay. I'm going to kick us off with one question, if you don't mind. It's actually about the data sets that you're using. So other than customer data and hotel data, can you maybe tell us a bit more about other types of data that you're using to make your predictive insights? So whether it's weather data, or there's a baseball game going on this weekend, or even Airbnb data that you're able to trawl online and potentially use for your predictive insights. Can you tell us a bit more about those external data sets?
Okay, so there are no external data sets. It's based on our historical performance, and it's based upon our current demand and the users in the market at the time. So we do not predict based on weather. I think we're going to see how this works. The follow-on question was, do we plan to add these external data sources? We have access to those data sources, and we have them in our app today, especially weather, but we have not decided to do that yet. So currently we haven't had to, but you can't imagine a football game or a specific event or Oracle World or whatnot being in town that can impact performance. And so, but our models have been able to adjust for that, but we are modeling it and monitoring those types of events, and so maybe that's something we could do in the future. Not planning on it yet. It's a good question. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one question. As your team was adding more attributes to consider, were they having to abandon or revisit the entire model or the ground up of each new attribute and everything, or were they able to build
It's a good question. So the question is, as the team was adding these 20 attributes at the hotel level, were they, kind of revising the model along the way? I'd say yes, they were retraining the model along the way, and it took a lot of experimentation to get the level of accuracy that we have today. So yes, definitely. And that's part of the system that's been built, and just the ability to monitor, update the models, retrain it, redeploy it, monitor it, rinse and repeat until we get the results that we want. So. Technology stack is, so we're using AWS machine learning for at the market level. It seems to have the capabilities that are okay for that. It's not as flexible as we'd want, and so at the hotel level, we've built our own service with open source models that we're deploying on our own that are more flexible than what Amazon supports. The libraries that they provide, yeah. What's that? For the algorithms that we're using, yes.
How many different attributes did you need to test before you got down to the 20 that you're using now?
The question is, how many different attributes did we test before we got to the final set of attributes? I think it was pretty clear at the outset. Some were pretty obvious, and most were very obvious. And so we were pretty close at the start. It wasn't too much. And they really, the tweaking made some difference, but I think the big difference was just in the algo changes that we were making and the different types of algorithms that we were using that were more flexible at the hotel level. So the question is around the volume of data and what's the second part? So and the size of infrastructure. So the volume of data, we get about 100 gigabytes an hour of data, about 100 million events coming in per hour that the system processes. And so we get that through app events, we get it through market intelligence that we're generating somehow. And that all comes in through a pipe. We use a service called Segment, which is basically used for all of our app events that come through. So that's basically our demand event pipe. And then the hotel events aren't as extreme because it's just it's tens of thousands of hotels and millions of users. And then the market intelligence that we're mining continually is also a pretty big stream of data. And so there's each one of those channels has a different infrastructure. It's all custom built, it's on AWS, and all of it gets piped into another service that we're using. We moved off of Redshift and we moved onto a data warehouse called Snowflake, next to Tevye over there. And that's much more powerful, much faster. And then, what else did we do? And then we have a bunch of processors that are all running off of IronMQ and processing the data. So we process about 100 gigabytes of data an hour and shove that in the data warehouse. And then the streaming pipe that goes into Amazon is custom built now. And we're working on building out that platform so that we don't have to recreate that for every problem that we want to solve. So that I can't talk about because it's pretty much ad hoc at this point. So I'd like to make that more robust. Step 2. Ooh, question about IP and patents. I don't know if I should answer this one. No, we did not. And we haven't, it's been our policy and our philosophy that we like to move really fast, and defensive patents aren't necessarily what we're interested in, don't want to spend the time or money on, and offensive patents are, I don't know. So it's kind of our philosophy at this point, just to move as fast as we can and not get too bogged down in that. But I don't know, maybe we'll revisit that in the future. There is probably a lot of stuff we could patent, but in the past I've patented a lot of stuff, and the value of it has been questionable. So, any other questions? Well, thank you all for sitting in. Good crowd. I hope the sun comes out.